Welcome everybody. Oh, it's quite exciting to see you all here, all of your faces. What we have here, who we have gathered here, is a combination of people from the Big Girls Village and friends and invited guests and guests who just wanted to come and check it out. So I'm just gonna, we've just got Claire trying to join now. I hope that you've all got like a cup of tea or a gin and tonic, or a cup of tea and a gin and tonic, or whatever you need for this evening. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. My name is Liv, and I am sort of the project leader of the Big Girls Village. And the Big Girls Village is part of the Women's Writing Lockdown Project, which is a project that's been run by Lincolnshire University, who are here, Lincoln University here today. Lucy, I always get that wrong. Lucy, wave. Lucy is the person who runs and got all the money for this project and makes this happen. So we are so grateful to Lucy. For the last 12 months, I have been running real life groups and virtual groups for women writing about lockdown and their experiences. And that has been very much about looking at what we all went through and maybe how women were slightly or extremely disadvantaged during lockdown. But it's also been about bringing women back together again to actually creatively transform and emotionally process some of the things that happened. And that is, there's no better way of doing that than actually by being together in a space, real life and non-real life. So I don't know if have we got anyone from the original group here tonight? I was just saying that a lot of them were going to come and watch, and then that I've just had a whole host of very female related issues, meaning that they might not be here, or they might be a bit late. But we have had about 35 women all together take part in these courses, and I have met some of the most amazing people and heard some of the most amazing stories, and it's been an absolute privilege. And tonight we're going to hear a few more. So I want to introduce my sparkly co-host Rozi, and those who've done the online sessions will recognise Rozi. Rozi has been a brilliant co-collaborator in the creative experience, and we've really enjoyed working with you all. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you, in your boxes, if you can rename yourself, and rather than renaming yourself with your poetry name, Vanessa, you can't hear. Is that still the case?
I can now.
Okay. Yeah, open your chat, guys. We're going to do some house rules for being a poetry audience, but it would be great if you could rename yourself with where you're from in the country. So I'm just going to be Liv from Frome in Somerset, but if you don't know how to rename yourself, if you put it in the chat, then we can do it for you. And this just helps us know, because the idea of this project also was to bring together women from all over the devolved nations, from all over the UK. So yeah, Kathy, brilliant, we'll do that for you. So Mandy, if you can't do it as well, I think. And this, Lucy, are we waiting for Ed? Is Ed here?
Ed was supposed to be coming, but he was having a crisis with something this afternoon, work related, and I don't know whether that stopped him. He was planning on coming.
Yeah, no, he's been emailing me saying Ed is the project leader for this for Women Writing Lockdown, and he had a massive train crisis and was unable to get to the live show, and ended up arriving from the north like half an hour after it had finished, and had to spend all day on a train, and then came down to see the final sort of sharing workshop film, and also the same thing happened and didn't make it. So I was like, I'll absolutely make the Zoom under all costs. So I would be really sad if he wasn't able to make it. But what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking you all back to lockdown. Briefly, not really, don't worry, not in real life. We're going to have a little sort of 6-minute film to start off. During lockdown, I ran a project called High Flu. Who here was involved in that? I know that Hazel was involved. Yeah, quite a few. David, Morena. Claire's trying to come in again. Where I worked, I invited people, my friends to begin with, to write haiku about how they were feeling during lockdown, starting in the first week. And this kind of sort of took off, and I made a little film using their haiku and photographs also sent to me. And then I ended up making a film every week for the first 12 weeks of lockdown. And then I ended up making a film every week for the second lockdown. And I worked with thousands of people all over the world sending me haiku. And I learned from that process the importance of telling our stories all together and how that really helped so many people move through lockdown. I've made a little film of all of them together, just a mix of some of the experiences that women went through. And this one is just solely focused on women's experiences. And I hope that it just sort of takes you and drops you into it. Me and Rozi are going to do a couple of things at the top of the show, and then we're going to hear a poem from everybody who was involved in the Zoom workshops who's here tonight. So I'm just going to invite you to sit back and relax, and I hope this works. That's the plan. We did test it. Let's have a look with the sharing. Rozi, can you talk to them for a second while I do this to you, and that's terrible, isn't it? Rozi says never spontaneously.
Rosie, do you need help? You're on mute, lovely.
Yes, I need help because my keyboard has decided to go French keyboard on me. So all I get are squiggles and the wrong letters.
So can I write where you're from?
I want to be Rosie from South Devon.
Okay, sure thing.
And you can only write in French.
Except no, it's the French keyboard, and I usually have the English keyboard, but then I can write in French if I need to. But it's decided to switch itself to French keyboard, so it's not QWERTY.
Okay,
it's everything else.
Curious.
If anyone knows how to solve that problem, please write it in the chat. But what might be really nice right now is let's just sort of make some sort of ways you can respond to poems through your Zoom functions. So if you could all go to reactions, if you could all put like an appropriate reaction for seeing something pretty amazing. They've improved these. Yeah, we got some good clapping hands. So you can use any of these tonight. You can also just like clap, and we will unmute you at times as well, because we want to try and create some atmosphere in a place where there doesn't appear to be much atmosphere. Good. So we will be giving you the opportunity to unmute, and please make as much noise as you feel comfortable doing. I also really encourage you to make comments in the chat. Look, everyone's lovely. So if you want to just maybe say in the chat now, hello and where you're from, that would be also great, and we can read out a few of those, and maybe how you are this evening. That'll be good. While I try and get my tech, which was totally ready to go, which had stopped. And let me just, and we are recording this evening, so I hope that is okay with everybody. If it isn't, that's a display.
Hi, Leah, welcome. We've just all changed our names to if it's possible for you to rename yourself and just put where you're from. And then we're just all saying hello in the chat.
And Rosie, if you tell me when this comes up. Can people wave at me when they see this on their screens?
I can see it.
Excellent. Okay, so we are now going to take a trip into lockdown. Sorry.
Brilliant.
Yay! I wanted just to take us back there briefly, just going through all those haiku images today reminded me of what we all went through. And although this winter's been hard, I don't think it was anything on that time, and it's so easily forgotten. So it's really important to remember that. But the last haiku in those films, which I always put at the end of all of them, is the Miriam Samako, and nothing makes sense, but in telling our stories, we learn who we are. And I just want to say that that resonates with this project too. I'm going to read something to begin with. I haven't written a new thing yet for this, but just after lockdown, I was invited by Poet in the City to run a project in Exeter, where I used to live, working with women coming out of lockdown. And I spent a lot of time researching kind of the history of what women had been through within the city, and looking at how at different points in history we've come up against real challenges. And that kind of comparison, X was very badly bombed in the Second World War and the First World War. The Luftwaffe would follow, the Second World War would follow the river up to Exeter in order to bomb the city. And I was looking at that parallel between a silent city and a noisy city, and what the women went through. And I'm just gonna find, yeah, here we are. So are you all right to let people in, Rosie, as they arrive? Let me spotlight. And I think for me, this kind of poem, piece of writing, sort of sums up a lot of what I feel about not only what we went through, but also what we have to be really wary of, and when it is that sort of the rights that we fought for so much are under threat is often during times, you know, such as pandemics or during war, and how the rights of women are so quickly taken away again. And this is a poem called Bombshells. And this is, I'm just going to scan it. Oh, it is. May 4th, 1942, Exeter. The Luftwaffe chased the brown ribbon of the River Exe into the stomach of the city. 10,000 incendiary devices scold the sky, butter the streets like toast. Every bed in Heavitree Hospital a waterfall of flames. The noise, red siren hot, struggles from its 70-minute time slot, creates a vacuum in history. One moment of terror jackknifing into another, leaving unexploded bombs in the cracks. A night so attention-seeking, it sucks the screams from COVID streets. A city of silence, a city of noise, two faces of a mirror 78 years thick. On one side, a nurse in World War II uniform runs in and out of wards, eyes stinging from smoke, hauling sick men out of beds as their sheets combust. Oh Lord, look after my kids, and I'll do what I can here. Dragging top trolleys down broiling halls, feet blistering, shoes on fire, leading scores of wounded soldiers out into the safety of a Guy Fawkes sky. 100 lived, only 9 died. Emily Nee arrives at the palace to collect the George's Cross for bravery. Told the paper she felt too fat to lead the parade, despite all the lives she saved. Women have always worked. Before the war, before the vote, it's a myth that it took a nation of absent men to forge our gunmetal. We were farmers and dressmakers and chambermaids and small business owners, nurses and weavers, going back thousands and thousands of years. These big textbook mega battles don't teach us how to break a sweat. They just taught us more how to matter to the machine of war. Munitions workers, ambulance drivers, engineers, mechanics, pilots, leaders. Now a century on, I sit on the other side of the mirror with the women of these rebuilt ruins. We gather above the library in St. Thomas where, before the virus hit, mums with toddlers used to come to sing. Those groups have scattered now. Networks untangled, a village divided. But there is a baby here at least on a young nurse's knee, and that makes us smile. The women tell me stories of their grandmothers working as clippies on the buses, widows bringing up 6 children, entertaining soldiers for their supper, escaping arranged marriages. And way back before that, we talk about the first and last witches hung from the city wall. Temperance Lloyd, Susanna Edwards, Mary Trembles and Alice Moland, the last to die in 1685. It's important to keep their names alive and remember how easily the rope of history swings back towards the patriarchy. I talked to women who, when lockdown struck, gave up their careers, their voices, their friends to become housewives again. Homeschoolers and full-time mothers, their jobs too small, too caring, too unessential. A century ago, the people in the city wore masks on their noses, kept their windows open, didn't let people kiss their babies. Pandemics are nothing new to our grandmothers. For COVID too has taught us that our dreams are still as fragile as our smallest child, and progress can be just as quickly reeled back in, whether in silence or in din. There are still deep cracks that women fall within. I look out at this city waking up after its latest blitz, shell-shocked, anxious, different, the women lonelier than I have ever seen them. Oh Lord, look after my kids, and I'll do what I can here. Thank you. And it was on that note that we started the Big Girls Village, and that we started to bring women back together, to work together, to share poetry together. And Rozi, do you have like anything that you'd like to share with us? Did we put that?
Shall I do the haikus?
Yeah, and introduce them, I reckon.
Yeah, I will. So these are collected from both Big Girls Village online groups. So there's haikus in there in reaction to the restrictions around the time of lockdown from all over the country. So many of the women that you see here will be featured in this. And what Liv and I have done is just collected them together into one piece. So this is a group effort, and it's divided by county, starting in Devon. The parish council closed Bigbury Beach car park, denied key workers. I drop meds in the parking space between us and get back in the car. Bouncing nervously, baby's first injections, no reassuring smiles. And from Wales, my teenage beauty is climbing the walls alone, their world a prison. London, going for a walk, careful to avoid others, shouting, 2 meters! Neighbours with 2 guests, ignoring the rules again. Why are they relaxed? You can't sit there, love. How many are you? All tapered off anyway. 30 miles or less, there is a beach in Ruislip. Wash hands, head for sand. From Wiltshire, it's the Jubilee. Nobody invited me to the street party. What does it all mean? You gag my voice with propylene. You won't control me. Scotland. I will go for Christmas, cook them a roast, remedy all this. I heard food cures all. Bristol. I see her daily, wave at me from her window, shielding. I wave back. The dog's walked in again, hardly ever off his lead. He's hiding right now. And from Somerset, quarantine calling. Do you know you should be home? We will come and check. Whose hands have been here contaminating this fence post again? Did you rinse that tin? Which tin? This tin? Shit, I can't remember. Fake sunflower badges, conspiraloons everywhere shout at my masked face. I snuck around the side. Your neighbour wasn't looking. I ducked anyway. She read in a field. He watched her out his window, then called 999. And from Glastonbury, mass hugging demos, deniers gather here and abuse masked faces. Finally, Gloucestershire, a one-way system around the farmer's market. I miss the carrots.
Thank you to everybody who's haiku. So many haikus contributed from all over the country in that one. Thank you, Rosie. Beautifully read. I'm gonna put in a minute in the chat the running order for tonight. But do we have Lydia? Lydia, are you here? Can you wave at me if you are? I can just about see you. Is it too soon, Lydia?
I can read. Like me too.
It feels like let me just spotlight myself as well, so we're spotlighted together for a minute. So Lydia was in the original Big Girls Village group, in the real life one where we actually, you know, drunk tea together and everything and did things with plasticine. And what was that like, Lydia?
It was an amazing, incredible experience, and it's brought a group of women together who would never have met otherwise, and are still keeping in touch. Yeah, really valuable to go through those experiences.
I thought it would be lovely, maybe as one of the original groups, if you could maybe kick us off with your poem. Would you be happy to share?
I would. I'm assuming that you want. I've also got a rap, but I'm assuming it's not that one.
No, it's just the one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Although I love your rap, obviously.
Thank you. Yeah, so I spent the lockdown. I'm going to shut the door actually because he's upstairs.
My son has erupted into tears somewhere upstairs, and I'm feeling that.
Yeah. Is the TV a baby? I think, yeah, that was
TV
one thing.
is absolutely a babysitter. Yeah, really, really, depending what they're watching, but yeah.
Yeah. So I spent down with my boy who was like 3, I think at the time, and was also trying to kind of hold down a job as a teacher. So I was kind of doing lessons by night and and babysitting by day. So this is a poem about the joy and the kind of pain of that.
Can you keep is there a way of keeping your phone still, or do you think are you holding it? Just because we're
just get up my nose. I'll try and keep it still. Okay. Stop all the clocks. Tip all of the televisions in the stream. Let the waters rise. Block up the gaps with briefings and cram every last concern in a crevice. Cancel every tick and chime. Mask every scream and cry. Every box on the calendar is empty, and so the waters rise. Left bereft of urban order, you and I turn wild, build up the earthen banks around us, tear up the suffocating strangle vine, plant every inch with ransoms, bluebells, spend hour after hour with their dewdrops ringing time. Drown out aeroplanes with birdsong, break things with our hands, getting more dirty than QWERTY and kneading every tear and terror into dough and let it rise. Till the hedgerow of may and elder are swallowed, and the trees of oak and pine, and we all float like Noah on an endless sea of time. Stop all the clocks, so I can fill my days with you and watch you grow. Pour myself, be there for every tantrum that you throw. Pour myself into every moment of the running of the endless day, finding and inventing new things to do and play. You are my whole world, my four walls without a door. And I know that this is precious and I always wanted more. But all the same, I'm drowning. And all the same, I'm running dry. And I'm the dam that holds between the endless sea and sky. And I will keep this world from caving. And I smile and I lie. And I do my work at 3 a.m. and the other mums reply. And your daddy hasn't called you, and I cannot tell you why. And I can't hold this wave from breaking. And still, the numbers rise.
That was amazing. I'm just unmuting myself. See, you've got me crying again. Always gets me. It's just that one line that about, yeah. And thank you for mirroring back so many of our experiences, Lydia, of working at 3 a.m. and trying to hold it together for our children.
Yeah, it was the oddest time because I knew that, yeah, there was so much that was really like having to stop everything was a kind of precious thing, and I knew that I should be appreciating it more than I was. But there were times when it was definitely, yeah, it was really intense. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lydia. Please leave comments for Lydia in the chat, and thank you for coming and giving us a little glimpse of the former group. And we're gonna go straight to the second of the Zoom groups to begin our Zoom poets. We've got Claire H. I'm bringing you up, Claire. How you doing, Claire?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. It's lovely to see everyone and meet some new faces too.
And you're going first, but of the group, but just to say, you can set the precedent, as in it'd be great if you could tell us where you're from, and also just a little bit about what you were going through in lockdown. What was your context, and to context your poem, if that's okay.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Claire H. I'm currently in Bournemouth, but during lockdown, well, the first 2 lockdowns, I was living in Stroud. So we had refurbished a house and we had jobs fall through and all kinds of crazy things, and we ended up having to move. And there was a lot of family health issues. There were people I couldn't visit, and there was issues with relationships and plans with that as well. So everything changed, everything. Yeah, that was the context of this poem that sort of happened, of what life was like. So should I launch into it?
You should definitely launch into it. Yeah. And just say
Right.
what it's called at the beginning, maybe. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so this is called my listless not to-do list. I worry about the wheeze of my asthmatic daughter working the front desk at a hospital, and pray that doorstep clattering applause will scare it off with a saucepan shield and a spoon sword. I worry about the spine crawl of dad's cancer, months of treatment, years of remission. His battle could be lost behind closed doors, a silent chapter to be written in the dark. I worry about my grandmother's dementia. The care team can't visit, they can't make it make sense to her. She thinks she's done something wrong, and that's why they're all gone. I worry from a safe distance, powerless, forbidden from visiting. I am dangerous. I could kill somebody without trying. I'm sick of being called plague. There's a war being waged within four walls, lines drawn and crossed, love lost in the dust. Fanatic factions cleaving fact from fiction via social media, immediate metascripture. Without routines, my mind eats its own tail and devours hours, maudlin, grey, matter of fact, online study, anything to distract from my listless not to-do list. Unemployed, living off sand timer savings, hourglass horror as each grain drains away. No special scheme safety net for sand. Forget castles. Forget dreams. Gravity has no mercy. I feel the weight of the baby he stopped trying to create in my empty arms. I hear the hate of terrace neighbours we can't escape. I think my heart is broken, but that's irrelevant. My 12-step meetings migrated onto Zoom. It's not the same as face-to-face sharing space. Another friend has gone back out, blackout drunk. Tech-dependent sobriety is exclusive, cruel. There but for the grace of Wi-Fi go I. I sleep on a bed of apologies, alone in a forgotten room.
Whoa, thank you. That's kind of grounded us even further in the memory. Thank you so much, Claire. Amazing piece. We're going to move quickly and swiftly to Letitia. And yes, please leave comments. Letitia, wave at me so I can see you in there. There you are. How you doing, Letitia?
Good, thank you. Yes, lovely to be here.
Tell us where you were during lockdown.
I'm in Nottingham. I was in a different house in lockdown. I lived on a terrace street, a narrow terrace street. So there were lots of houses and we didn't have 2 meters between us. We couldn't stand on our own doorsteps, etc. So yeah, that's where I was. And during writing this course, some of the things that I'd forgotten that you just forget because you just don't want to do remembering came back to me, and this was one of them. So I'll read my piece for you.
Yeah, can you tell us what, well, you don't have to tell us what it's called actually. Go for it.
It's called Is it stalking if he's standing still? Suddenly, I'm insecure. He's outside my door at 4 in the morning. Should I bother the police? At 9 a.m. I ring. The officer reassures, call 999 if he returns. It's not like we've anything else to do. What worries me most is being unable to place him. Yet he knows me and where I live. And that I am alone. Thank you.
Such a powerful poem. Thank you. It finishes and you're like, oh, I can't believe it's finished. Oh, how amazing that you finished it at that point. Oh, it's perfect. And also really sorry that happened to you. But what an amazing poem. Thank you, Letitia. From Nottingham, and moving from Nottingham, we're going to Wales. We're going scanning down to there. I think there's a mustard yellow jumper there. There. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you this evening? Looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you. I'm well, my darling. I'm really relieved to be here because yeah, technology was not on my side. I was in the waiting room for about 10 minutes.
We saw you trying to get in.
Oh, it's driving me mad. Yeah. But I'm here virtually.
Claire was in our first Zoom group, and did you enjoy the experience, Claire?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it was really, really good. And I was actually slightly reluctant to join because lockdown was so completely traumatic for me, particularly at the end, the last 6 months of it. I mean, that's how long it went on. You know, it was that long that 6 months was just the last bit. Was awful, and I didn't really want to do anything that revisited it. But with all traumatic experiences, it's incredibly healthy, of course, to revisit things and process them. And it's been a lovely way of doing that. It's felt like a really nurturing way of revisiting a very traumatic experience. So I'm really grateful to you and Rozi for putting it on and bringing us all together. Thank you.
And do you want to tell us what you wrote? Well, I'll let you introduce your poem.
Thank you. Yep, it's called Missing, and I shall read it now. The sky, a topaz blanket cut through with plain tail fluff, greets my morning eyes, 2 wells filled with tears. She's under the same blue, but an ocean of geography refuses to part. I miss her fatty hugs, those world-weary arms wrapped around me, a womb's safe solace. The usual eye-rolling irritations now dissolved like sugar in tea. I think of her alone, and my soul feels peach brown bruised. Her voice on the phone like a child lost in a supermarket. I've forgiven her as easily as blowing out candles on a birthday cake. I miss my mum. I miss my mum.
Oh,
Thanks.
Thank you, Claire, so much. And thank you for bringing the mother missing into this session, because that's such a huge thing. Claire from Wales, and from Wales we're going to move right to the very top of the country. Let's have a look. Where are you? Wave at me, Mandy. No, you were already at the top of the country. I'm going to just spotlight you. Mandy, tell us, what part of Scotland are you from again?
From Wick and Caithness, right at the very top. It's about 16 miles south of John O'Groats on the east coast.
And can you tell us anything about your lockdown briefly, or about your poem?
My lockdown, it was very lonely. I never had any contact with anyone for health reasons, apart from the restrictions. and my immediate family are in another country in the very south of the UK, and 2 of those still have long COVID. So my poem is, there's 3 Scottish words which I'm sure most of you won't have heard of, so I'll tell you what they are. An akel is Scottish for wisdom tooth. Cowning is Scottish and Caithness dialect for crying, weeping. And Bosie is Scottish in the Doric dialect for cuddle and hug. And the poem's called Untouched by Human Hands. Our missing kith and kin, our myriad castaway stars, huge gaps of akels, milk teeth, swan-like across skies and whale road tides. Memories are mind map gnarls among months of 7-day solo sameness. I'm a hermit crustacean and dandelion clock in a cracked, parched pavement, blown into time lapse of undanced hair. Defrocked doorbells, unlipped hellos, magpie goodbyes in lockboxes, letterboxes, caskets. Drowning in cowning for next birthday's unsnuffed candles, with no kisses, no hanky spit on knuckles, only elbows akimbo, and skittle knees knocked down below water lines, awash with no pier and sail ahoy. We are pontoons of jettisoned matchsticks in gingerbread houses of sand, in hiding from ballooning belladonna breath. Untactile as Highland clearance crofts, not even cossets through glass with thumbprint whirls. I crave to be a barnacle Bosie on Mama's life belt, not just bit parts in screened vignettes, but snowdrops breaking ground through seaweed green and white wave caps. To rally over longshore drifts rising like flotsams of starlings with starfish in our mains. Our net is cast and widens over borders. Thank you. You're all awesome.
Ah, Mandy, thank you. And thank you so much for being that poem and being involved in this course. It's just been such a pleasure to sort of have somebody representing us right from the far north of the country and bringing such wolf moon energy as well into it. And I hope you've enjoyed the sessions as well and being part of it.
I have, yes. So you're a very, very special group of people. I'm honoured to be part of it.
Oh, thank you, Mandy. We're going to move from Mandy in Scotland. Who are we going to next? I'm looking at to Myra. I see you, Myra, who is also in Scotland, actually. I think I was trying to group, but in the slightly, what part of Scotland are you in, Myra?
Well, I'm southern compared to Mandy. I'm in Edinburgh.
Not even in Scotland, some people would say.
Well, they'd be wrong, but yeah.
How are you this evening, Myra?
I'm good, thanks. It's been really moving actually listening to everybody's words. It's been awesome. I am a mental health. I'm a mental health nurse. As one of my trades. So I was doing a lot of work in pandemic, obviously. And the poem that I'm going to read is called Rules, or A Day in the Life of COVID. Was about me. Loosely based on me going up to the prison every day, which is where I worked in COVID. You happy for me to crack on, Liv? Rules, or A Day in the Life of COVID. Tumbleweed rolled in front of the solitary bus on reduced service, available for those of us responsible for essential care. I had been glared at from frosty windows. Who do they think they are? I can't even flash my nurse's uniform to show them it's okay, I'm one of the good ones, as infection control would have been apoplectic. But I did think about doing it after I heard the imitation monkey noises split open the morning air Thursday's celebration is Friday's derision, next week's burnout. Correct clinical coverings changed at the speed of the sun sky chase, terrifying the residents who had nothing better to do than have their restrictions even further curtailed at Her Majesty's pleasure. Miss, has someone got it? Is that why you've changed again? Patient confidentiality out the window as contagion reeled from managing. On the bus, back from care to home, some restrictions have been lifted. Who do they think they are? Queuing on the high street, only essential care workers should be free to move in order to keep control.
Myra, just an incredible piece, and again, so awful what you had to go through, and such hypocrisy as a nation for clapping and then the abusing, and you know, and thank you for bringing that into that poem here. Just really, really, really appreciate it. Comment to Myra. We're moving from Myra to Jackie. Actually, let's find Jackie. I'm so sorry that I wanted you to follow Chandra's Behind the Curtain poem, but Chandra is not I think she might be on holiday, mightn't she? There was something.
Yeah, she did say
something. So sorry to those who missed Chandra, because Chandra was in both the groups in the end.
Yeah.
But we've got her poem recorded anyway. But Jackie, how are you this evening? Looking fabulous.
Oh, it's an old cardigan, but it's got some shine on it. That's how I feel at the moment, like an old cardigan with shine. It is weird how hearing all these words and all these stories can just catapult you back. And even if some of the experiences weren't yours, during that period, we were all familiar with almost everybody's experience. That was the overwhelming feeling that we're just hearing everyone's account of something, you know, and we're doing it again now. It's just bring me right back. So that's how it's almost got a flavour to it, hasn't it?
It really does. Where were you during lockdown, Jackie?
Yeah, I was at home in London. I live alone as well. So I was divorced, been divorced about 2 years. Of course I have a full life. I'm going to say that, but you know, just prior to the lockdown, you know, I was marching for climate change. I was marching against Trump. I felt like I was marching for my life the whole that period before, and then we were locked down, and I thought, well, how are we going to protest? What's going to happen? And BLM happened, and it's like I've got to be there. And it was just the weirdest time. I don't know, I haven't got the right words when I speak it quickly, but I wrote all the way through it. I wrote for my life all the way through it. And that got me through, to be fair. Luckily I had it, something to do. And so, but anyway, I'm based in West London, Portobello, near Grenfell. I was also marching for Grenfell every month, I forgot to mention. So yeah, exactly. And you know, there was the anniversary yesterday, so there was just a lot going on in this area where I live, on top of having this lockdown. And this piece that I've written, Woman in a Dressing Gown, was because of our group, our workshop, and listen to all the stories. I tried to pack a bite-sized piece of everything. So, and I've taken some of it out because it's too long, but let me start it now. It's called Woman in a Dressing Gown. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020 defies time to leap from bed to toasting white bread brown. She robes herself of rest while next level fatigue engulfs. Overwhelming. But there are little mouths to feed. They instinctively supersede her own. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020, making lunchboxes, wet hair dripping, kids rolling with the punches, constant yelling, backpacks chilling near the door. Swimwear, dance gear, spiraling activities, rush the stairs, tracky bottoms on, car keys ready, masks on. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020 goes brunching, swears by the godsend nanny who picks up the slack to wash, feed the kids, breakfast, school runs at tea time. Generous allowances, the conduit for me time. Husband cashes dividends, commutes miles away for work. In dread, work from home will upend his perks. Married woman in a dressing gown in 2020, making breakfast for the first time. Where is he? Sourcing snacks between then and lunchtime. Where is he? Broadband fires on all cylinders, all set for new homeschool learners, working hard from home while teaching assistant, come childcare, ABC 1, 2, 3, come dinner, come bath time. Where is he? Woman in a dressing gown in 2020 hiding wine bottles, one of her chores, smiling dutifully, hope the kids won't notice the bruises, the sores. There is a hell to pay while he's home, indoors. He mocks her mothering, smothering. To her face in the background, daily briefings drown out the beatings occurring at pace. Black woman in a dressing gown in 2020 knows the drill, resilience, a way of life, from daughter to mother, sister, grandmother, oppressed in the home or wider society, always other. She exists against the grain. She smiles, she frowns, shrugs off the slurs, the misogynoir inferred from the PM down. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020 slips it off again, can't lounge. She barely has a minute of her life of her own. The texts come through thick and fast from distraught family members in hospitals or nursing homes. Pray they don't pass. Video call, last breaths. Pray to pay last respects in the limited space. No lying in grace. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020 outlived her partner, adult children flown, commandeering the volunteering, vulnerable, alone. Woman in a dressing gown in 2020, or a onesie or a hoodie, caregivers all with purpose, driven, in some way or other, finally cleaned once and for all, our leaders on the whole, 2 fucks not given. Thank you.
Wow. Jackie, that was incredible and so important again and so moving, and some of the imagery of and thank you for sharing that, the voice as well of what was going on for women, a lot of women who were in abusive situations. And yeah, oh, big night. I know it's going to make big feelings for people, and just be kind to yourself within those feelings. And I'm so glad to hear these stories, because all we constantly hear are these things are happening, but to actually just get some insight is really, it helps us humanize everything. So thank you, Jackie, wonderfully performed as well. Okay, well, it seems we're going from Jackie, we're going to Hazel. Hazel, this is, you know, where are you? Wave at me.
I had a cigarette break before.
You knew you were next, really, to be fair.
I didn't know so many amazing to make it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay. That was a really good poem. I mean, I just want to stare into space for about 10 minutes after hearing that, really, but I won't.
How are you, Hazel?
A bit emotional tonight, but that's all right. Because like lots of people had said tonight, that I think we've been kind of compartmentalizing it all, which isn't always. Sometimes it's helpful, but not forever. And this is part of that, isn't it? So sort of processing it, I think. So and I feel safe to kind of get in touch with all the feelings, all the feels. And your events always help us do that, Liv. So yeah, brilliant.
And Hazel, you're in Watch It, Somerset?
Yeah, I am.
what are you going to share? yes, you are.
I'm speechless.
Well, we were going to have an audience time interval after. No, we'll do you, because I think it's important to shift the mood slightly for people.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right then. So I've got two short. They are very short ones, and I was just thinking about it. We kind of had two. You helped us sort of look at lots of themes with the workshops, Liv. But there was sort of our own experience that we went through, our own sort of weird insular experiences, and then there were the big stuff sort of happening out there, and how the two worlds kind of sometimes connected and sometimes didn't. So I've sort of done one quite depressing one and one nice better one. So so good bad news.
Hazel's had special permission to do two because they're short.
Really short.
She's in anguish about her decision. So go for it, Hazel.
Okay, so this is called Old Style Coats and Hats. And this is in response to my really confused state about the Me Too stuff that was going on. It wasn't as straightforward as I sort of hoped it would be, my responses. So this is a poem about that. Ghosts of my mum's neurosis, maybe even a diagnosis, self-hexing, pre-texting, liberation vexing complexes. Let sleeping dogs lie, just don't make me say why. Woke folk stoke this hateful bigotry. That stuff could never belong to me. Last century, outdated ancestry, not accepting that reality. Not me, not to, another day. Let me stay frozen, just like my cousin. Vaccinate me, mister, and my sister. A tiny community of invisible immunity. That's finished.
And just can I ask you, Hazel, just to move, can you arrange your computer just a bit so we can get your eyes? So
Oh, my out of the shot. I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And the other one, you asked us to do a day in the life. So this was about growing food, growing things during that time. Okay, so this one's called a day in the life. Despite it all, the earth still needs to be turned, sifting through clods, thoughts channeled and funneled, stones into rubble, crush lumps into powder, smash silt into sand, this into that, nothing into something. My neighbour is here. I look across for a second, exchange an uncertain half smile. We dig on. Keep on doing this. Keep doing this until a space clears. Break up the unbreakable. Ready the beds for the seeds to come. Finished.
And thank you, Hazel, for bringing some of that gardening, grounding energy. I think that's really appropriate because we're having a sort of, well, we're beyond the midway point, but we're going to do a little audience poem. And I'm going to give you a bit of a lead. And if you feel able, it would be great if you could respond to this in the chat with a line. And then Rosie is going to weave that together into something, because that's the challenge poor Rosie has to do. But I'm sure she'll do magnificently. But the challenge we want to set is, I've been thinking, what are our list of demands as women? You know, what is it actually we want? And these could be serious things or they could be funny things. But what, you know, we want to change something. These, you know, our stories show us that things need to change. So if you would like to write one demand, you could write two. You could write a more serious one and a less serious one in the chat. I think, you know, don't shy away from the, you know, anything luxurious you also wish to have. This is your opportunity to demand something from the powers that be for women going into the future. And you have 3 minutes to come up with a demand or two and put it in the chat. I will write at the top, we demand, they're already coming in. And maybe you want to demand something for your senses, or maybe you want to demand something, you know, for to change in law, maybe you want to demand something to change for you very personally. So yes, you've got 3 minutes from now. I'll find some music. Okay, there's a lot of demands there, Rosie. You're going to be quite busy writing this manifesto. Just use the bits that are most salient. All very good, though. Thank you. I feel like a lot of people have got a lot off their chest there. Feels very important. I'm not going to read any out loud because they're going to be shared later. We're going to move in. We've got some more lovely, amazing poets to share a piece that they've made. Vanessa, let me see. Wave at me, Vanessa. Always a complete joy. Are you on mute, Vanessa? You are on mute.
Oh, thanks. That's very nice.
You are always. How are you, Vanessa?
I'm good. Yeah, I am.
Good. And where are you? Somewhere in Wiltshire, I think.
Yeah, Trowbridge.
On Trowbridge, not far. Not far.
No, down the road.
And your lockdown? Were you?
My lockdown was. There's been some really heartbreaking stories in those poems, and so many all together in one poem as well. And for me, it was kind of slightly different in that it kind of stayed the same. And so my poem's sort of about how the world changed, and it changed a perspective in the house rather than my world, you know, changing within the house kind of thing.
Tell us what it's called and go for it.
So I only wrote this just now, so sorry, Liv, for listening up. It's called Marked Absent. Bear with. Right, here we are. Marked absent. In the eyes of justice, we are all worth the same, but it doesn't always seem so in this random game. My daughter was born tattooed on her chest, the scales of justice and of joy she was blessed. When her friend had no biscuit, she broke hers in half. Her spirit was free, infectious, her laugh. Tumbling forward, and now she's 11. The world is starting to look less like heaven. She lives in her bedroom in chronic pain, untangles at midnight to walk in the rain. Why me, she whispers to the unmoved moon. She grows paler and fades more with each passing moon. Friends, like petals, have fallen away. They tried, but it's natural to move on, I say. But inside I'm stricken at the price she must pay. Her room is a tower with prints of pink roses. The air is a hand on her skull, and it closes. She tightens in torture on teal satin sheets, her crown cutting in. She's so close to defeat. No mantra, meds, or meridian pins, no miracle foods or manipulated limbs, no nothing is working, and the lights growing dim. At 15, she sees the world has stopped spinning, and stories are shared of how many aren't winning, slowing to a halt, disembarking at her station, and she starts to believe in her own creation. She smooths her wings and sees they're wet, not broken, and she's ready to fly when the doors reopen. Attendance is not the whole success story, it's internal pain for external glory. Put kindness and creation and time back in schools. Intelligence is understanding, not just numbers and rules. There is no competition if we're all unique. Talents nurtured, dreams heard, constructive critique. The expression of us as the glory we are. Our minds are full with our light and our power. And success will be measured not by mere marks on paper, but by the best resource that we have in these lands, our glowing hearts and our helping hands.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. And thank you for bringing that challenge that we of what our children went through as well, and how it changed and affected their lives. And I know that that's been a really big journey for you and loads of the women here, actually. So thank you so much for sharing that. We're going from Vanessa to Rosie. Rosie, are you ready, Rosie? Is it? You're on mute though. That could go against you.
There we go.
There you are. How are you, Rosie?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm feeling a bit like Vanessa. The world happened around us. Being older, me certainly retired, him mostly retired. We sort of trotted on the way we normally did, except we couldn't do the things we would normally do. So it wasn't hard. And yeah, anyway, this is escape. Yeah.
I was just going to say that we don't all have had a very traumatic experience, and not everybody in any way did. It's really important to have that spectrum of experiences. So yeah, it's very welcome. Bring it.
Okay. Escape from every day's the same. Ours is a rural seaside lockdown, and I am not so much retired as cocooned, waiting to burst out of my chrysalis. We get up later and later, get dressed later still. He watches telly and does jigsaws online. I defrost the fridge. We walk down the valley when the tide is low, scuffing clam shells, picking up old bits of polyprop and baler twine. He paints the hall. I learned to be a lizard on the sunny slabs by the kitchen door, cones cracking in the pines. We know we're the lucky ones, and stasis, a small price to pay. Our days stream out, no real structure, and yet the to-do list remains undone. I wish I could help my daughter who lives nearby. Divorced, she juggles her ex and 2 lively boys, 1 week on, 1 week off. Her life too full on or too empty. She tries to keep work life real while homeschooling and holding down her job on Teams. Our life's so on hold. The excitement of another grandson due, dulled by knowing we can't be there. Only 2 hours drive, but might as well be on the moon. And we know we are the lucky ones. Then, from that torpor, a way out. We have a purpose, something to get up for, go out for, in the shape of community, cooperation. Jerry from the food bank puts out a call. Drivers needed to deliver 5 bags, big bags, neatly labelled, to the caravan on the windy hillside, family of 5 waiting to be housed. Masked and gloved, we step back from the door. 3 bags up steep steps to the single mum with a heart condition, whose father usually did her shopping. We step back from the door. Another 3 to the apologetic Polish guy with a 7-year-old. He's in hospitality. Thank you so much. I will repay when I work again. His small, pale-faced son presses his nose to the window, doesn't smile, but does wave. And so many more. That was the first day. It got us through lockdown, and we were part of the bigger picture.
Oh, that was excellent, Rosie. And I love the little details, from the defrosting the fridge to the things you found on the beach to the different characters that you delivered food to. And yeah, such a brilliant piece. Thank you. And lovely to bring that energy in as well, the energy of service, which is what so many of us use to help us get through. Really important. That whole, if you're lost in the woods, take a child's hand. You know, if you can't cope, if it's too hard, then try and help someone else. And by doing that, you really help yourself. And that's just one of the greatest wisdoms I was ever told. Moving from Rosie to Melanie, the lovely Melanie. Speaking of service, where are you, Melanie? Wave at me. I've got you. I'm putting you on spotlight. You're on mute though.
I'm unmuted. Hello.
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 Nice bookshelf. It's a different background.
There's good bookshelf. Yeah, got a light up here. It's good.
Yeah. And how are you this evening, Melanie?
I'm very good, thank you. Really well.
And in lockdown, anything?
I had an unusual lockdown. We had a couple of friends. I was working with one of them, and so their house wasn't built. So both the men moved in with us. So I had 3 husbands, 1 teenager who was very lonely, 2 dogs, and it was bedlam. Oh, and they moved in with 16 cases of wine, 1 loo roll, and fennel chorizo.
You know, that sounds in itself like a sitcom. And
it was a bit mad, but it was okay.
Some people would say it sounds brilliant, but
yeah, I just felt really sorry for my children who were trying to teach their children at home, and I thought if I'd done that, I would have gone back to smoking. I can't imagine what it would have been like to teach small children at home. So that was, or be on your own. So that was, I can imagine it's very difficult. But my poem tonight is about a couple, and I'll just read it. So if that's all right. It's about a day in the life. This is for staff nurse Ollie Payton, his wife Helen, an analytical chemist who survived Hodgkin's lymphoma in 1999, the same year their 3-year-old son Sam died of neuroblastoma. Helen was extremely vulnerable to COVID, so the couple lived separately at home for 18 months, and the poem is called Frontline. After your shift, you strip outside in darkling light, where an ill wind immured me. Your shadowed face, indented and chafed, It's all around, you say, flailing in violet air. Sorry, just got soft spring air that could steal my incarcerated breath away. You swelter on antiseptic wards, awash with fear and bleeping machines. Cycle home drenched with sweat and rain, while I concoct dinners and scour our cloistered, separated confinement. Bide my secluded time under empty skies, reading, dreaming, drumming my fingers as rain babbles on the straitjacket of four walls, from blackbird's mellifluous dawn to a nightjar's vespers. Running on empty promises as your uniform boil washes. Imagine drinking parties that aren't parties while you shower contamination away. Through the bathroom door you ask how I am, afraid your protection isn't fit for purpose. I remember bed with you as I set glass, cutlery and dinner away from me. I last held your hand in March, walking on the Mendip's star-shaped moss. Our boots loosened dark seeds in the breeze, omens for what was quickening our way.
Melanie, thank you so much. What a really important story that you brought to life. And
they were amazing people to do that for 18 months, really. So
just great imagery in that as well. And yeah, we need to hear more about what carers and the NHS and people went through, and how strange it was to be sick or healing during lockdown. So thank you for sharing that. I also want you to write the poem about your 3 husbands and the chorizo and the case of wine.
I did do that, but I think it would be a bit illegal.
I don't think that really matters now. To be honest, I think the conclusion is that we don't care anymore. You know,
till we're gay.
Yeah, nobody's going to be calling the police on you. Well, I hope not. So thank you very much, and we are going to be moving on now to Anne in Glastonbury. I'm just going to spotlight you, Anne.
Hello.
Hello. You've got your special background on again.
I know, got to do that.
No, you made it twice.
Had an EFT mentoring session and I forgot. I put this background on. I thought it was very strange. But anyway, it's been really moving hearing all your poems, ladies. I mean, the groups have been fantastic, but hearing the other groups as well, it's been amazing. So, yeah, it's lovely to share this experience with you all and sort of process it together. So, thank you. Yeah, my experience of lockdown is a little bit like Rosie's. We didn't really have any major challenges because we live in a reasonably well-attached house and we've got space, and my husband works outdoors, so we sort of carried on as normal but a bit less busy. So this is a day in the life, a lockdown day in Avalon. I'm based in Glastonbury, as I said. In my town during lockdown, I felt freedoms like never before. A paused paradox of personal parameters. Restricted, yet expanding the gift of time to just be. Be still, be calm, be connected with my emotions, and boy, did they come in droves. Be at home, be grateful, be reflective, be a responsible citizen despite the poor examples shown by the powers that be. If I'm being honest, we women were royally screwed from all sides, supervising schooling whilst navigating new ways of working and hunting food for hungry households with sharpened elbows for superstore scraps. Mass hugging demos, deniers gather here, and abuse mass faces. My kids loved home learning, less boredom and bullying on Google Classroom. They got to study at their own pace, at one with their teenage biorhythms, even adding hairdressing skills to their repertoire to surprise me when I got home from work, too weary to respond to frayed fringes formed by blades as blunt as butter knives. I work to support our community, packing local produce for local people unable to get out. A daily loop of supermarket sweep, pushing trolleys, picking and packing and ticking off strangers' shopping lists, whilst grateful volunteers supplied soup and cake for our that was shared with our socially distanced team. Alarms silenced and commuting ceased, creating quieter roads and cleaner air filled with beautiful birdsong that made cycling to work such a joy. And we collectively realised that our old normal had to change.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne. I can just the pros and the cons of being in somewhere like Glastonbury as well, and I love the kind of the positives that you sort of have represented as well of that. If you were living in more of a rural background, if you had a good community, I'd like to see what your daughter did to her hair. I feel that's kind of left to our imaginations. Thank you very much, Anne. Moving from Glastonbury, where they would definitely campaign if you wore masks on the streets, to Frome, which is just up the road where I live, and Heather, way there, I can see you, Heather. Hi Heather, how are you this evening?
Hi, I am good. It's really been so moving to be here. It's been quite an experience, and my heart feels wide open.
Good.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming tonight, and I'm excited to tell us where you were. You were in Frome during lockdown?
I was here in Frome with my husband and my two young kids. So at the time they were nearly 2 and 4.5. And my parents were actually here for a bit of that first one. But this poem is kind of based on a slightly later lockdown. And yeah, Dave, my husband and I are both musicians, and so all of our work, ended. And like so many other people, and we had to kind of reinvent ourselves. And I stayed with the kids while Dave did that online stuff. So this poem is about that. And it's called I Stayed. I wake exhausted and already overtouched. No space, no quiet. Loud, insistent demands from 2 gorgeous kids who take up as much space as there is. Red curls and humming while they play. I will have a moment, I think, but the fighting starts again. Fighting, playing, 30-second interval training. Pressure in my chest, reminder to breathe. Stay present, stay here. There's another meltdown. They need a snack. I make it, clean up, prep lunch, entertain and explain. Repetitions, no variations. Exhausted and bone weary. Worry, money, my kids, my relationship, myself. Women in other houses stuck in cycles of stress and abuse. Locked in my own head and wishing for a door that locks. 2 weeks on the beach, escape. I imagine driving away, endlessly away until I reach the ocean and can't drive any further. Moments of sweetness drop in the dryness like melting honey. Soft, tearful cheek resting on my chest. My arms have purpose again, comforting her, comforting me. Then and now I'm drawn to the field, open space. She's managed to push the trees away to the very edges. Her ground bare, dark, rich mud. She's so expansive, her fallow ground home to unsprouted seedlings. So I stay, I don't leave. Back to dinner and the kids, bedtime and numb out in front of Netflix, and repeat, leading me straight to burnout. And I stayed.
Amazing, Heather. Thank you so much for bringing that too. And I empathise very much, having a 4 and a 6-year-old during lockdown and having to try and work and look after them and homeschool. And quite a few of the women here I know had that. And well done for staying, although no judgment if you hadn't. Well done for finding your way here to share that story with us. We've got 2 more poets before we hear the group poem that has been created. We're staying in the land of motherhood, going right to the newborn babiness of motherhood. Morwenna, I'm bringing you up. How are you this evening, Morwenna?
I'm good, thank you. I have not expected to be so emotional, but almost from the beginning, it's just weird how it's just like been coming out. So my makeup is probably all over my face, but that's
looks awesome. Looks like it was meant to be like that.
It's really good. It's good to, yeah, it's strange that it's affected me so much, but it's good. Yeah,
it's not strange. I don't think it's strange.
Well, yeah,
it's been a very, very moving evening, and we've come to the end of a really moving process, and just we're all, solidarity, isn't it? And I'm glad we're all feeling, because it's good. But I want to hear your poem, Morwenna. Tell us a bit about your situation during lockdown.
Yeah, so in lockdown, I was a new mum to a 7-month-old, I think he was about at the time. And I'd been through a really traumatic birth, and I couldn't breastfeed, and I'd been at real rock bottom. And I was just at the point of kind of starting to build things up and build my confidence, and starting to go to baby groups and that sort of stage, and stepping out with him and not being like absolutely petrified. And then lockdown happened, and all that support that I was kind of building went. And even to the kind of root of I couldn't see my mom because she was immunosuppressant, so she was having to really isolate. And yeah, it was really, really tough. And all my friendships moved to WhatsApp messages, which they still seem to be, a lot of them. And so it was tough. But yeah, my poem is called Lockdown Mother Overload. 5 a.m. alarm, 20 minutes of sitting in the dark with just me and tea, before baby wakes and my body is no longer mine. Broken night, formula dribbles, colic screams, rocking, so much rocking, him and me. Baby washed and fed. Can I go back to bed? It's not 9 a.m. and I am already this tired to the marrow. Rush. Adrenaline spike, must get out of this house, pretty prison. Daily walk allowed, sacred. Strap him into carrier, cover face, go. River X, breathe. He loves the trees. He started to reach for the leaves. The birds don't know or care. Nature blooms and rots, normality. Home. Feed, change nappy, dishes, hoover, feed, poo tsunami, rock. Slowly limbo lower us onto sofa. Do not wake him. Mindless box sets. I feel so alone. 5 p.m. news, heart race, YT at the rising numbers, the closing borders, the toilet roll hoarders, not enough iPads for last goodbyes. Mortality feels close. Baby bedtime. For a lula, 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 hush a baby. As he guzzles tepid milk in my arms. Stroke his hair, soft as a moth's wing. Thank God he doesn't know. I hope I'm here to see him grow.
Thank you.
Oh, Moena, so beautiful. You didn't take away from the emotional processing for us all. Thank you so much. I got it wrong. I got my order wrong, and Rasha, I've missed Rasha, but this is perfect actually, Rasha, because I think you're supposed to go after Moena because we're decreasing in age of children, and I think that's appropriate. So I apologise for missing you, but I think it's perfect actually. Thanks again, Moena. I'm going to bring Rasha up, who was from our group 1.
Yes,
how are you?
hi everyone.
Hi, how are you this evening, Rasha?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm a bit congested, so you might hear it in my voice, but I'm fine otherwise.
Where are you?
I'm in southwest London, and that's where I was during lockdown. And I was home with a 2- and 4-year-old. They just turned 2 and 4 at the beginning of lockdown, and I was heavily pregnant. So I had a baby during lockdown as well. And that's what my poem is about.
Please share it with us. We'd love to hear it.
Okay, so it's called, so it's a day in lockdown. It's called The View from the Womb. Shh. And that's my cue. Time to kick the floppy walls, the reassuring hum with the speeding drum. Her heartbeat speeds as my brothers scream, and then no more. Just the dum, dum-de-dum. With the clangs of cutlery, my time has come. I kick for dear life, the joy of eating and feeding my tum. I want to be born, to see what's outside. My brothers laugh in hysterics again, and the sound repeats. Shh, shh, shh. This time with a boom, her voice my bass, and I kick again. I want to see the laughter, the shrieks, the cause of her heart beating faster still, as I feel her lungs gasping and desperate. They sound elated, yet my walls remain. Red, red, and cramping with dread. Shh, shh, she says as the sounds quieten down, and all that's left is the heart, their voices, her breath, short and panicked. I feel a stroke on my walls and reach my hand to her worries.
Oh, Rasha, thank you. I love that poem so much. From the inside the womb, as we were all kind of in a weird womb. Thank you. Really beautiful. How old's your daughter now?
She is 2 and a half, or nearly 3. She'll be 3 at the beginning of May.
I guess she probably missed the most affected bit, doesn't she, in terms of...
Yeah, she was happily oblivious.
For those women who had to have babies during lockdown, all respect, and how even isolated and lonely that was. Finally, last but not least in our list, I'm going to move to Kathy, Hello, Kathy, and tell us where you are and where you were during lockdown.
I'm in Leicester, and Leicester is obviously the city who stayed in lockdown any longer. We were in lockdown for over a year. And I came to this project with an absolute overt agenda of my own, which was a political and class-based one, to talk about people who had a very different experience in lockdown. I live in a very deprived, very depressed inner city area, amongst many people who weren't working from home, weren't furloughed, weren't entitled to benefits, and we worked illegally and broke the law repeatedly. And that's what this poem is about.
Go for it.
The Cleaner's Tale. At 8 a.m, the neighbourhood is quiet, disturbed only by the slam of some house doors, the slam of some car doors, the slap of some feet on street. They are the key workers, their exits public and unashamed, a faceless, fearless facing of the world. They are clapped on Thursday nights, heroes masked in PPE, but we are more cautious, circumspect. Our cars tucked away from prying eyes, quick nods of recognition, nothing said. If you know, you know. My cleaning tools and products beneath a picnic blanket in the boot. Don't want to draw attention, risk the possibility of being stopped. Strange that work labelled laudable weeks ago is now illegal. Carries the threat of fines and public shaming. COVIDiot, virus denier, granny killer. The clients leave rubber gloves outside their door, which must be worn before I touch the handle. I have learned to shout a warning. Wait. For them to move into the safety of a room I never enter anymore. My gratitude, my need, tangible. I carry the sickness of desperation. Cleaning houses is still, well, cleaning houses, although I scrub doorknobs now. And there is more evidence of late night snacking and in-bed eating, half-abandoned project clutter halfway up their stairs. Cash payment no longer nesting under a coffee pot, it's all bank transfers now, which works only when the cash point close to me works too. It often doesn't. Clean one house a day. Strip off my working clothes and wash them. Join queues to buy the bleach and scrubs I need, often unavailable or rationed. Scribble sums on scraps of paper. Essential work and your income is £30 a day and the bills remain the same. Keep my head down. Thoughts policed. Say nothing except a yes to all work offered. Caravans cleaned. Garages decluttered. Standing proxy line in queues. Legality is so much less important than staying alive. Thank you.
I feel that we should unmute to clap you, Kathy. I'm going to anyway. Legality is so much more important than staying alive. What an amazing last line. And thank you for bringing that, because I know that earlier on in the project you were anxious about being, sharing kind of your reality in case, because there was a lot of judgment around us, particularly at the time. And I hope that you haven't found any here, because survival was just everything, Really amazing poem. Thank you. What an amazing bunch of poems. I just want to say, I love it. I love them individually, but as a collection, all of your voices and stories just create this real truth, this patchwork of what was going on for women, and it's so powerful to hear them all. I want to invite Lucy if she wants. Are you happy to say something, Lucy? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I feel totally honoured actually to have been here remotely tonight, and I was with Liv's group in Frome when they did their in-person evening, and that was really fabulous as well. There's something wonderful about women writing together and coming together and working together, and it creates a magic that I've never known in any other situation actually. And I think what's really amazing about what Liv's done online and what you have all done online is that you've managed to recreate that sense of coming together whilst actually not physically coming together. And I think it's really amazing. But I'm also, I have to say, totally amazed by the quality of what you've produced and by your sense of self-assurance as well in performing it all. It's all sounds so authentic. What I'm hearing are real women's real voices and the real experience that we, but particularly you, have all had. And I think in their various differences, those stories all speak together. And I think that's, thank you. It's just been really special, and the emotion that you've felt and that I've been struggling not to show tonight, is very powerful. And I just wanted to thank you totally for your honesty and for being so brave and for sharing. And I hope that it's been a beneficial experience for you all. So thank you. And thank you to Liv. Thank you to Liv. It's just the most astonishing feat, really.
Well, thank you. It was like, this project, there's an excuse. I can make this work to run workshops for women, which I love doing, and and help emotionally process that for all of us. The arts help us emotionally process our lives, don't they? And Lucy, can you explain what hopefully is going to happen with some of these words and writing and the recording?
Yes, we are putting together an exhibition, and I think Liv has spoken to you about being prepared to share your work or parts of your work for the exhibition, which would be wonderful. And we have a launch event planned at the House of Commons in the fabulously inappropriately named Churchill Room of the House of Commons on the 28th of June, where we've booked an afternoon slot to try and make it as possible for as many people to come and go in the day. So we have the room from 12 noon, but actually the actual event will run from 1 o'clock till about 5. And we're going to launch the exhibition, but I've also said to Liv, it would be wonderful to have the opportunity for some of you to perform your poems if you're willing to do that. We'll have an audience. The audience is the general public and a couple of, we hope, a couple of MPs. The organisation that's behind it at the House of Commons is the All Parliamentary Writers. So, and I didn't even know this organisation existed, but within the House of Commons, they have a writers group, which is there to support, it has a number of functions. I think is one just about writing, but also about supporting writers in a variety of contexts. And they are linked up with an organisation called the Authors Licensing Collecting Society, whose job is to collect royalties from things like library loans and photocopies and things. And they've also produced a report on the effect of lockdown on writers' earnings, and so it's being hosted by Giles Watling MP, who is the chair of the All Parliamentary Parties Writers Group, and we're basically hoping that through providing the general public, but also hopefully MPs as well, who some of whom will be invited, with a real life picture of the effect of lockdown on real women. That's the aim. So, but also just to celebrate and enjoy.
And you're all invited.
Yes.
So everyone can come, and it would be great if a few of you read out your whole pieces, but I would encourage everyone who comes. I'll run a workshop beforehand, I reckon, online, and that we'll try and at least get a group piece or together where everyone gets to read even a line, because then you can say that you performed in the House of Commons, which is always a good thing to say. And I just think it would be great if we just filled the audience, all us women there, like from different parts of the country, and then we get to go out and just meet each other in real life. And I think that's really lovely too. So yes, anyone who wants to come, let me know your name if you haven't already, and I'll talk to Lucy about kind of what longer poems would represent the project the best, but and hopefully we'll all share something, everyone who comes, including just getting to hang out with each other. So very exciting conclusion to the project. Thanks to everyone tonight. Now Rozi, you've been beavering away. Have you got our manifesto for the future ready? I'll spotlight you.
I do. I have our manifesto. Apologies to all the people who performed just then, who I wasn't applauding to, but I just had my concentration face on. But here it is, ladies. This is what we demand. We can brandish this manifesto when we storm the House of Commons. We demand that misogyny is made against the law. We demand much more: affordable childcare, a fair wage, and workers' rights. To be taken seriously, to be heard, to be consulted, to feel safe, end the poverty of older women, and bras that don't chafe. We demand not to be belittled by male voices, women making decisions, safe spaces, child support, mental health help that's face to face. Stop fucking up nature, seriously. It's very nearly too late. No more unpaid labour. We demand transparency, compulsory drug and alcohol tests for politicians, compulsory body swap VR experiences for boys and men to experience periods, childbirth and menopause. We demand that our appearance make no difference to the way we are treated, to be free to dress and cover or uncover our bodies and hair as we please, for women's ailments to be believed. Oh, and fair tax, an end to weapons of mass destruction, a total smashing of the patriarchy, recognition for the unpaid work of women, abundance, time, for the arts not to be sidelined. That retired golfers give up 3 hours a month to lead giant tortoises around on leads with toddlers on their backs to cut the mothers 20 minutes of slack. Women priests, lots of them, big girls' villages all over the land, and the right to not be expected to have a full inventory of every cupboard and food item in the house in my head and recall where lost socks, wallets and phones are on demand, even if I'm in the middle of something, and to be completely immune to any requests when I'm on the loop. We demand rights, not privileges, priority orgasms, housing security, the right to run safely with headphones on. We demand the deserved respect for mothers. We demand to be the assumption, not the other. Well done, all of you.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Yes, all of those things. I apologize, I did the tortoise bit. Amazing. I don't know if we can take that to the House of Commons, but we should do.
We need to do a led by donkeys and project it onto the building.
We could send it to Lions Led by Donkeys. Good idea. Well, they're very male. We could become the new. I definitely want to have a big girls' village run, in every town, and then you guys can all run your own, and we can do like a big franchise, and slowly, just get that Arts Council funding bid out. But I don't know if anyone wants to say anything. It'll be quite nice, maybe, if you just have a word. I feel like that's what we always did in the workshops, and we've got a few minutes left. So, if you just have like one word or one sentence, I'm going to go around and invite if people want to. You don't have to, obviously. But Claire, you're in my top corner. Are you happy to? I might actually let me do it in the order of that you performed in, and then that will be really help where you're going to come next. So let's go to Claire H.
Yeah, hi. I'm just blown away. So my word is gratitude. It's been gorgeous. Thank you, everyone. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Claire. And let's go to Letitia.
Impressed. That's my word. So impressed with everybody. Brilliant. Thank you all.
And Claire, thank you, Letitia.
Emotional. Just lots of emotions coming up.
Thanks, Claire. And yeah, just it is really big. And yeah, so gentle kindness with yourself. Mandy.
Well, I'm going to have 2 words, but hyphenated. Blown away.
Not in a windy way, I hope, but
by everyone's talent.
You absolutely, I agree. Phenomenal, talented people. Mandy to Myra.
Power and the vulnerability shared this evening was incredible.
Yeah, and how amazing people felt safe enough to be so vulnerable, to share so honestly. So yeah, absolutely. I can't even do the heart shape. Thank you, Myra. Jackie.
Powerful words that bring tears, virgin tears at a Zoom. I've never cried before at a Zoom at all. I felt that powerful. Too many words, but the words.
No, thank you. And thank you for your poem. Just amazing. Woman in a dressing gown. Incredible. Moving to Jackie to Hazel.
I just really love women. That's enough.
Yeah, me too. Vanessa. You're on mute, Vanessa. You're still on mute.
Oh, never mind. No. Yeah, I had a few words, but the one that's springing to mind is entitled, which has got normally negative connotations. But I kind of feel like, we all should just be a bit more entitled. And yeah, in a good way. That's how I'm feeling. And thank you, everyone. It's just been such a privilege, and you're amazing.
Completely. Rosie.
Yeah, everybody said it. Entitled in a good way, and I just feel sort of empowered, and it's so inclusive is my word. Inclusive. Brilliant.
Melanie.
don't know what the female version of this will be, but it will be warriors. That's what we are. That's what I feel we are. Warrior women.
Completely. Worrying warrior women. Very brave, some very brave women in this space tonight, yourself included. Thank you, Melanie. Anne.
2 words: connected and grateful for being with you all and for the experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Heather.
Yeah, really touched and grateful, and yeah, the demands, love the demands.
The demands were excellent, Rosie. Like, seriously, well done on the demands. I feel very fired up. I think Jackie could get protest for those for us quite well.
Apologies, they didn't all. There's a few that didn't get in, but it just in the time it wasn't possible.
It's completely understandable. Rasha.
Welcomed. Everyone's voice was welcomed, and that was just lovely, and everyone's perspective.
Thank you, Rasha, completely. And thank you for being such a lovely member of the group. And so great to hang out and get to know you. Morwenna.
Fired up, I think. Like, I'm 40 and I've only very recently discovered the power of being just with women. And I didn't know whether it would translate to Zoom, but by God, it does. Like, just beauty and power and, yeah.
And Kathy.
2 words: moved and humbled. And Morwenna, 40, you are just a child, my darling. It just gets better the older you get. Trust me on this.
And the more you hang out with women, that really helps as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to ask Lydia. I know there's some other people here, and if you wanted to say anything, you'd be very. You can like do a little thumbs up, and I can go to you. But I was just going to ask Lydia, who read for us at the beginning. Thank you for coming and witnessing as well, Lydia.
No, it's been such a pleasure to see all the other kind of people from the Big Girls Village. You're all amazing, and I've cried all the way through. I think we've all been like that. So my word is feeling, and I think maybe that's what makes us warriors.
And thank you to those people who have escaped because they didn't want to speak, and those people who have come to watch. And David at the bottom we could just see, and any kind of brave men who have come into the corner, like, you're so welcome. And this is a space to hear and celebrate women for whoever you are. So yeah, I think that's probably like about it. But Rosie, how about you? I think we need to hear from you.
Yeah, my words are impressed, stunned, humbled, just proud. Ed's back in the waiting room. Just honored is my word.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosie, for all your support in running the Zoom groups. It's just been so nice to hang out and have your involvement, and for putting that manifesto together, which we are going to project onto the House of the Commons, but the week after we go there. Yeah. Well, we'll play the line.
You can just leave it down the back of the radiator with a fish.
Yeah, just that's it.